A viewer recently requested I make a video on Sanchin breathing, specifically how to perform it for Uechi-Ryu Karate. I think this is a great topic to talk about. However, I want to start with the warning that depending on who you talk with, you're going to receive many different opinions on how to perform Sanchin breathing. Some people may even comment that the method that I use is incorrect, and in my opinion, that's okay. Like I said, there are many opinions and methods of Sanchin breathing, and none of them are necessarily wrong. In fact, everything you hear may be correct, unless of course you're told not to breathe. What I tell my students is that I will teach them a baseline version of Sanchin breathing that they can use to create a strong foundation. And as they become more advanced students, they can start to try other methods of breathing and see what works best for them. I do this because at the end of the day, notwithstanding the initial learning curve of a new method, breathing should be natural and not forced. I believe that as an individual martial artist, you need to be able to use your body in an athletic manner that works best for you. I say this, of course, with the teaching mindset that every student should have a firm grasp of the basics of their style before they venture off into other methods of Sanchin breathing. So in this video, I'm going to explore with you 4 different concepts and a few methods that I teach my Uechi-Ryu students when we start working on how to breathe for Sanchin. To start with, let's review when we will be exhaling during our kata. I give my students 3 methods to try when performing their Sanchin Kata. The first is to exhale during your thrust. Much like how a tennis player will grunt when striking the ball, exhaling when performing your thrust will add more power to your strike, while at the same time relieving tension in the movement. For Uechi-Ryu Karate, when you thrust in Sanchin, there's no dynamic tension in the movement. So as you exhale, you are releasing energy to add more power to the strike. Your arm should ideally feel free and relaxed in the movement. The second method I teach is to exhale when you step. As we will talk about later in the video, strengthening of the core and the hara is an essential component of Sanchin. When you step in the kata, you want to be moving as if you were driving someone back with your body or taking a strike over the abdomen. Exhaling at the end of the step is a good way to stabilize your core by filling your lungs with air and then releasing the driving energy by tying your foot landing to the ground to your breath. A good way to practice this is to have someone place their fist against your abdomen with some resistance. Then you can perform your Sanchin stepping and drive them back. Practice your breathing with the movement and you will begin to feel how this can be effective. The last exhale method I teach is a combination of both. Exhale when you thrust and when you step. This is a good method to get the best of both worlds, especially when you start practicing advanced kata and may use different breathing methods depending on the movement you're performing. When I was a beginner student, I ended up using this method because I had poor cardiovascular performance and the extra breath between counts really helped me get through the kata. When we exhale, we breathe out the mouth. Now let's talk briefly about inhaling. I do not tie the inhale to any movement. You should inhale whenever it feels natural, which should be after each exhale. Ideally, most students should inhale through their nose and out through their mouth. However, if you're like me and struggle with your sinuses and nose breathing, it's okay to inhale using a combination of your nose and your mouth. Now let's talk about core engagement. Like I stated before, when you inhale, you're going to be filling your lungs with air, which is going to help stabilize your core. I was taught that when you exhale, you never want to empty your lungs, you want to use bursts of breath, leaving air behind to keep the core strong and to continue feeding your lungs. This type of breathing should never leave you winded or short of breath and is essential for dealing with the stress of combat. Under duress, your goal is to have natural, controlled breathing, which is challenging since our body's response to stress is to hold our breath. Along with Sanchin breathing, a good way to mitigate this response is to try to catch yourself holding your breath when something happens that puts your body into a panic response, such as a car cutting you off aggressively in traffic or braking suddenly in front of you. When this happens, take a moment to see if you're holding your breath. If you are, take a deep inhale, followed by a natural exhale. Not only will this aid in training breathing under duress, it will also help you relax your mind and your body. Okay, back to core engagement. This part is important. Using the structure of your body in muscular alignment, you will set your body into your Sanchin position. Let's focus only on the core of your body from your shoulders to your hips right now. When I set up for Sanchin, I roll my shoulders forward and pull my elbows heavy down to the floor. This will engage my chest and lat muscles as well as my upper abdomen. Then I will strengthen my abdominal wall by pushing outwards, much like you would do when preparing for a heavy lift. To feel this, place your fingers into your abs and push outward. This is also a good method to practice the exhale we talked about earlier, like this. Lastly, tilt your hips slightly forward, squeezing your glutes. This will bring your Sanchin stance together and center your weight below the navel at what is called the hara. This is where your driving energy will come from when performing your step. As you step, you can release the glute muscle so you can move naturally through the step, and at the completion of the movement, sink back down and drive with the hip. Before I demonstrate different versions of Sanchin breathing for you, let's talk about one more concept. You've probably heard other karate students make a noise when exhaling and wondered why. This noise serves multiple purposes. It can be an auditory reminder to the student and their instructor that they are breathing correctly and not holding their breath. It can also be an expression of the type of energy they are trying to produce on the exhale. I teach two methods to my students and let them play with the one they feel best suits them. The first is a hss. This is what I was originally taught and is a good method of breathing to feel a controlled exhale. I also teach a which personally allows me to feel my breath lower my abdomen. These are the two I teach, and at this point in my training, I use them interchangeably depending on what I'm doing or what feels right in the moment. And I think this is an important point to make right now. There are many ways to do the right thing when it comes to the martial arts. We're each on our own unique training journey, and it's important for you to allow yourself flexibility in the methods you train. What I tell my students is to try one method of breathing for a while, and when you feel confident and comfortable with that method, change it up and try something different. As years go by and you advance, you'll have a deeper understanding of Sanchin breathing, and in the end, you'll have a method that is natural and effective for you. So to recap, we looked at 3 different versions of breathing and 2 different noises to make on the exhale. Let's look at some footage now just to compare the different methods. Like I said, at this stage, I do a little bit of everything, and this is expressed in my advanced kata, kumite sparring, and bunkai. Depending on if I'm striking, dropping my weight, or grappling, I may change my method. If you're a new student, of course, don't go too crazy with the variety of breathing methods. Pick one and stick with it for a while. And of course, your #1 reference on how to breathe in Uechi-Ryu Karate should be your sensei. So when in doubt, ask them how they would like you to perform your Sanchin breathing. That's all I have for thoughts on this subject today, but I would love to hear from you on how you breathe. Whether you are a Uechi-Ryu student or you train in a different martial art, please comment below and maybe I will also learn a new breathing method. Thank you for watching and enjoy your training.